The limits in your mind are made up. Let them go, and you'll see new paths, take bigger chances, and create the life you want. Change your thoughts, and you change what's possible for you. I have learned that self-doubt doesn't disappear when the world gives you approval, but when you decide to act, even if the path ahead feels unclear. When you move forward without waiting for everything to align, because real growth comes from taking steps, not from having every step mapped out. 1. You don't need to be ready. Most people believe they must feel completely prepared before chasing their dreams. They wait for that perfect moment when doubt disappears and confidence fills their hearts. But here lies a truth that changes everything. Readiness is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. The moment you think you have grasped it, it slips away. The perfect moment rarely arrives. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you may find yourself waiting forever. Years pass while you prepare, plan, and gather more knowledge. Meanwhile, others who felt just as uncertain take their first steps and begin their journey. Real progress starts when you move forward despite the butterflies in your stomach. Readiness does not come from sitting in your room thinking about what you want to do. It comes from actually doing it. Each action you take teaches you something new. Each mistake shows you what works and what does not. This is how you truly become ready. Picture a traveler who must leave at dawn to reach the next town before nightfall. The morning air is thick with fog, and the path ahead disappears into gray mist. The traveler could wait for the sun to burn away all the fog before starting, but wise travelers know that each step forward reveals more of the path. What seemed impossible to see from the starting point becomes clear as they move ahead. This is exactly how taking action works in life. When you stand still, everything looks unclear and frightening. But when you start walking toward your goal, each step shows you the next part of the way. Action builds 3 important things that waiting never can. Clarity about what you really want, confidence in your ability to handle challenges, and the skills you need to succeed. Think about learning to ride a horse. You could read every book about horses, watch others ride for months, and memorize all the rules. But until you climb onto that horse and feel its movement beneath you, you will never truly know how to ride. The horse will teach you things no book ever could. Your muscles will learn to balance in ways your mind cannot understand by thinking alone. I once knew a woman who dreamed of becoming a teacher. For 3 years, she told herself she was not ready. She needed more training, she said. She should read more books about children. She ought to practice her voice until it sounded just right. Month after month, she found new reasons to wait. One autumn day, something changed inside her. She decided to stop preparing and start doing. She found work helping children at a local school. Yes, she made mistakes. Yes, she felt nervous many days. But within 1 year, she had learned more about teaching than in all her years of waiting and preparing. She was finally doing what she loved. Courage does not mean you feel no fear. Courage means your legs keep moving, even when your heart pounds with worry. It means you speak up even when your voice shakes. It means you try even when a small voice whispers that you might fail. The most important step is always the first one. Once you take it, you will find that the second step comes easier, then the third. Soon you will look back and see how far you have traveled from where you started. Stop waiting for readiness to find you. Instead, let your journey create the readiness you seek. Start now and trust that the path will teach you everything you need to know. 2. Failure does not define you. Many people believe that failing means they lack what it takes to succeed. They think failure proves they are not smart enough, talented enough, or deserving enough to reach their dreams. But this way of thinking misses a powerful truth. Failure is simply evidence that you had the courage to try something difficult. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has stumbled many times along the way. Behind every success story lies a collection of mistakes, wrong turns, and moments of doubt. These failures are not shameful secrets to hide. They are the building blocks that create strength, wisdom, and skill. Think of failure as your most honest teacher. Success might make you feel good, but it rarely teaches you as much as a good failure can. When things go smoothly, you may not pay attention to what made them work. But when something goes wrong, you must look closely at every part of the process. You ask hard questions. You examine your choices. You discover what needs to change. This process of learning from mistakes refines your abilities like nothing else can. Each error shows you a better way forward. Each stumble teaches you how to keep your balance next time. Your skills grow stronger not despite your failures, but because of them. Consider a master sculptor working with a block of marble. To an untrained eye, each strike of the hammer that chips away stone might look like damage. But the sculptor knows that every piece that falls away brings the hidden statue closer to the surface. Some strikes remove more than intended. Some hits land in the wrong spot. Yet, even these apparent mistakes help reveal the beautiful form waiting inside the stone. Your failures work the same way. Each one chips away something that does not serve you. Maybe it removes false confidence that made you careless. Perhaps it strips away methods that seemed good but did not work. Every failure clears away what should not be there, bringing you closer to who you are meant to become. I once knew a man who dreamed of starting his own shop. He saved his money, found a location, and opened his doors with great hope. Within 6 months, he had to close. Customers did not come as expected. His prices were wrong. He had chosen the wrong products to sell. By any measure, he had failed completely. Many people would have given up at this point. They would have decided they were not meant to be business owners. But this man did something different. He spent weeks thinking about what had gone wrong. He talked to people who might have become customers. He studied other successful shops. He learned from every mistake he had made. 2 years later, he tried again. This time, he chose a better location based on what he had learned. He picked products people actually wanted. He set fair prices that both attracted customers and kept his shop running. Today, that shop serves hundreds of happy customers every week. None of this success would have happened without his first failure to teach him what worked and what did not. Your worth as a person is not measured by how often you fall down. It is measured by how many times you get back up. Each time you rise after a setback, you prove something important about your character. You show that you are stronger than your circumstances. Welcome your failures as friends who bring valuable gifts. See each stumble as a signpost pointing toward a better path. Your mistakes are not tombstones marking the death of your dreams. They are stepping stones leading you toward success. 3. Your potential has no expiry. Some people carry a heavy belief that their best days are behind them. They look at their age, their past choices, or their current situation and decide they have missed their chance. They watch younger people chase dreams and think, that ship has sailed for me. But this way of thinking robs them of something precious, the truth that potential never expires. Your ability to grow and create does not fade with the passing years. It does not disappear because you made different choices in the past. Instead, it changes form and often grows stronger. The experiences you have lived through become tools in your hands. The challenges you have faced have taught you lessons that younger people have not yet learned. Think about the different seasons of a year. Spring brings fresh energy and new growth. Summer offers warmth and abundance. But autumn has its own gifts, rich colors, deeper flavors, and the wisdom that comes from having weathered many storms. Winter, too, has value in its quiet strength and patient endurance. Each season of life offers something unique and valuable. Consider a gardener who plants seeds throughout the year. Some seeds sprout quickly in the warm spring soil. Others wait through summer heat and autumn cold before finally pushing through the earth. The gardener does not give up on the late bloomers. She knows that some of the most beautiful flowers take longer to grow, but their beauty is worth the wait. Your dreams work the same way. Some people discover their calling early and follow it straight through. Others take winding paths that lead them to their purpose later in life. Neither way is wrong. Both can lead to something wonderful. I once knew a woman who spent 30 years working in an office, handling numbers and reports day after day. She did her job well, but something inside her always felt restless. In her 50s, she walked past an art shop and saw brushes and paints in the window. On impulse, she bought a small set and took them home. That first painting was rough and uneven. The colors looked muddy, and the shapes seemed clumsy, but something sparked inside her as she worked. She painted another picture, then another. Slowly, her skills grew. Her eyes learned to see light and shadow in new ways. Her hands became steady and sure. Within 5 years, people were asking to buy her paintings. Art galleries began displaying her work. She had created something beautiful that brought joy to many people. None of this would have happened if she had decided she was too old to start something new. Every morning brings you a fresh page in your story. The words you have already written matter, but they do not determine what comes next. You hold the pen. You choose what to write today. Your past experiences are not weights holding you back. They are treasures you can use to build something new. The patience you have learned through difficult times can help you master new skills. The wisdom you have gained from mistakes can guide you toward better choices. The moment you decide to try something new is the moment everything changes. Age becomes irrelevant. Past failures lose their power over you. What matters is the choice you make right now to step forward into whatever calls to your heart. Your potential lies not in yesterday's decisions, but in today's possibilities. Take that first step and watch your next chapter unfold. 4. Confidence is built, not given. Many people believe confidence is like height or eye color, something you are born with or without. They look at those who speak boldly or take on big challenges and think, I could never do that. They have something I lack. But this thinking misses an important truth. Confidence is not a gift that some receive and others do not. It is a skill you can build, like learning to ride a horse or bake bread. Confidence grows stronger each time you use it. Just as your arms become more powerful when you lift heavy things regularly, your belief in yourself strengthens when you face challenges and overcome them. The key is not to start with the biggest challenge you can imagine. Instead, you begin with smaller tests that you can win. Think of a blacksmith working at his forge. He does not transform raw metal into a fine sword with one mighty blow. Instead, he heats the steel and strikes it again and again. Each hammer strike seems small by itself, but together they shape the metal into something strong and beautiful. Your confidence forms the same way through many small actions that add up to something powerful. The mistake most people make is waiting to feel confident before they try something new. They think confidence must come first, like putting on armor before going into battle. But confidence does not work this way. It appears during the doing, not before it. You cannot build courage by thinking about being brave. You build it by acting bravely, even when your hands shake and your heart pounds. I once knew a woman who feared speaking in front of others more than almost anything else. Even talking to 3 or 4 people made her voice tremble and her face turn red. She had avoided this fear for years, turning down chances to share her ideas at work and staying quiet in group conversations. One day, she decided she had hidden long enough. She volunteered to speak at a small meeting in her neighborhood. Just 12 people gathered to discuss local concerns. The night before, she barely slept. Her stomach felt twisted with worry. When the moment came, her voice started weak and uncertain. But something important happened. She did not run away. She finished what she came to say. The words came out choppy and nervous, but they came out. A few people nodded and thanked her afterward. She had survived her fear. 2 weeks later, another chance came to speak to a group. This time she felt nervous but not terrified. Her voice was steadier. The words flowed a little easier. She spoke again the next month, and again after that. Each time, the task became less frightening and more natural. Within 2 years, this same woman was leading meetings and giving presentations to rooms full of people. Her voice had become strong and clear. Her ideas came across with power and grace. She had not been born with this ability. She had built it one small victory at a time. Your confidence works the same way. Start with challenges you can handle, even if they make you nervous. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Celebrate the small wins. Each success adds another layer to your growing belief in what you can do. Soon you will surprise yourself by tackling things that once seemed impossible. The person who was afraid to speak up will find themselves leading conversations. The one who doubted their abilities will discover talents they never knew they had. 5. Obstacles are not stop signs. Many people believe that hitting a wall means they are walking the wrong path. When challenges appear, they think the world is telling them to turn back and try something else. They see every difficulty as a sign that their dream was never meant to be. But this way of thinking turns helpful teachers into roadblocks and growth opportunities into reasons to quit. The truth is simpler and more encouraging. Obstacles are not punishment for choosing the wrong direction. They are natural parts of any journey worth taking. When you encounter resistance, it often means you are pushing towards something important. Easy paths rarely lead to places that matter. Think of challenges as tests that help you discover what you are truly made of. Each difficulty you face asks a question. How much do you really want this? Are you willing to learn what you need to know? Can you find another way when the first way does not work? These tests do not exist to stop you. They exist to make you stronger and wiser. Consider how water behaves when it meets a large stone in its path. The water does not stop flowing and declare the journey impossible. Instead, it finds a way forward. Sometimes it flows around the sides of the obstacle. Sometimes it pools up and flows over the top. Given enough time, it can even wear away the hardest rock, carving a path straight through what once seemed unmovable. You have the same power to adapt and persist. When one approach fails, you can try another. When a door closes, you can look for windows. When someone tells you no, you can find someone else who might say yes. Every obstacle teaches you something valuable about your goal, about yourself, or about better ways to move forward. I once knew a woman whose heart was set on becoming a teacher. She had dreamed of this since childhood, imagining herself helping children learn and grow. After finishing her training, she applied to school after school, confident that her passion would open doors quickly. Instead, she received rejection after rejection. Some schools never replied to her letters. Others interviewed her but chose someone else. Month after month passed with no success. She watched friends find positions while she remained on the outside, wondering if she had made a terrible mistake. She could have given up at this point. Many people would have decided that so many rejections meant teaching was not for her. Instead, she chose to see each setback as information about what she needed to improve. She asked for feedback from the schools that had interviewed her. She took additional courses to strengthen her skills. She volunteered at libraries and community centers to gain more experience with children. This waiting period, which had felt like failure, became a time of tremendous growth. She learned new methods of teaching. She discovered her special talent for helping children who struggled with reading. She built relationships with parents and other teachers who came to respect her dedication. 2 years later, the same schools that had once turned her away began calling her. They had seen her work in the community. They knew about her additional training and experience. What had seemed like closed doors became wide-open invitations. Every obstacle you encounter carries a gift, though it may be wrapped in frustration or disappointment. Some challenges make you stronger. Others teach you new skills. Some force you to find creative solutions you never would have discovered on an easy path. When you change how you see barriers, everything changes. Setbacks become setups for comebacks. Problems become puzzles to solve. Obstacles become stepping stones that lift you higher than you could have climbed without them. 6. Comparison steals your progress. Many people spend their days looking sideways instead of forward, measuring their progress against everyone around them. They see a neighbor's new house and feel their own home looks shabby. They watch a friend succeed at work, and suddenly their own achievements feel small. They notice someone younger getting ahead and wonder if they have wasted their time. This habit of comparing steals something precious, the ability to see and appreciate your own journey. Comparison is like a clever thief that sneaks into your thoughts and makes off with your joy and focus. When you spend your energy watching what others are doing, you have less energy left for your own growth. When you measure your worth by someone else's success, you lose sight of how far you have already come. The truth is that no two people walk the same path through life. Each person starts from a different place, faces different challenges, and has different strengths to draw upon. Some people seem to race ahead quickly, while others move at a steadier pace. Some face smooth roads, while others must climb over rocky ground. Comparing these different journeys makes as much sense as comparing the speed of a fish to the speed of a bird. Think of how trees grow in a forest. Each one reaches toward the same sun, but they do not all grow at the same rate or in the same way. The oak tree does not worry that the pine tree grows taller faster. The apple tree does not feel ashamed that it produces different fruit than the pear tree. Each tree draws what it needs from its own roots, grows according to its own nature, and contributes its own gifts to the forest. You are like one of these trees. Your growth depends on your own roots, your experiences, your efforts, and your choices. Looking constantly at other trees only distracts you from the work of growing stronger yourself. I once knew a woman who worked hard at her job but felt constantly frustrated. Every time a coworker received a promotion or praise, she felt her own efforts were not good enough. She spent hours wondering why others seemed to advance faster than she did. This thinking made her miserable. even though she was actually doing well in many ways. One day, she decided to try something different. Instead of watching what others were doing, she began keeping track of her own progress. Each week, she wrote down what she had learned, what challenges she had overcome, and what skills she had improved. She stopped looking at her coworkers' achievements and started focusing on her own growth. Something wonderful happened. As she stopped comparing herself to others, her confidence grew. She could see clearly how much she was improving from week to week. Her motivation increased because she was no longer discouraged by other people's different journeys. Within months, her own work improved so much that she received the recognition she had been seeking. When you focus on your own path, you free yourself to run at your own best pace. You can celebrate when others do well without feeling threatened or diminished. Their success does not make you less successful. Their achievements do not erase your own progress. The only comparison that helps you grow is comparing yourself today to who you were yesterday. Ask yourself, am I kinder than I was last month? Have I learned something new this week? Am I braver now than I was last year? These questions point you toward real progress that no one else can take away from you. Your journey belongs to you alone. Trust its timing, honor its lessons, and keep moving forward at your own steady pace. 7. Discipline outweighs motivation. Many people wait for the perfect moment when they feel excited and energetic before working toward their goals. They believe motivation is the secret ingredient that makes success possible. When they feel inspired, they work hard for a few days or weeks, but when that excited feeling fades, they stop making progress and wait for motivation to return. This approach keeps them trapped in an endless cycle of starting and stopping. The truth is that motivation acts like weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, always changing. You cannot build a life around something so unreliable. What you need instead is something steadier and more dependable: discipline. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Think about a farmer who tends his fields. He does not wake up each morning and ask himself, "Do I feel motivated to check on my crops today?" The farmer knows that plants need water and care every day, not just when he feels enthusiastic about farming. He works in sunshine and rain, when he feels strong and when he feels tired. His crops grow because he tends them consistently, not because he always feels excited about the work. This same principle applies to any goal worth achieving. Whether you want to learn a new skill, build better health, or create something meaningful, success comes from showing up regularly and doing the work, even on days when you would rather do something else. I once knew a woman who desperately wanted to learn to play the piano. She bought a beautiful instrument and placed it in her living room where she could see it every day. For the first few weeks, she felt excited about practicing. She would sit at the piano for an hour at a time, working through exercises and simple songs. But as the newness wore off, her enthusiasm began to fade. Some days she felt too tired after work. Other days she had social plans or household tasks that seemed more pressing. She told herself she would practice when she felt like it or when she had more energy. Weeks would pass between practice sessions. After 6 months, she could barely play better than when she had started. The piano sat mostly silent, making her feel guilty every time she looked at it. She began to wonder if she simply lacked musical talent. Then she decided to try a different approach. Instead of waiting for motivation to strike, she made a simple rule. She would practice for exactly 15 minutes every day, no matter how she felt. Some days she felt excited about this time. Other days she felt bored or distracted, but she kept her promise to herself regardless of her mood. Within 3 weeks of this new approach, she noticed real improvement in her playing. Her fingers moved more smoothly across the keys. Songs that had seemed impossible began to make sense. The daily practice, even in small amounts, accomplished more than her previous months of sporadic enthusiasm. By the end of the year, she was playing pieces she had only dreamed of when she started. People who heard her play were impressed by her skill. The secret was not that she had discovered some hidden talent. The secret was that she had learned to rely on discipline instead of motivation. Motivation is like a spark that starts a fire. It can be helpful for getting you started, but discipline is the steady fuel that keeps the fire burning long after the initial spark has faded. When you build habits and keep your promises to yourself, you create a force more powerful than any temporary feeling of enthusiasm. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Start building the discipline that will carry you toward your goals every single day. 8. Growth requires discomfort. Many people spend their lives chasing comfort like it is the greatest treasure they can find. They work toward the day when everything feels easy, when challenges disappear, and when they can rest in familiar routines without worry or struggle. They believe that reaching this comfortable place means they have succeeded in life. But this thinking misses something important. Comfort is not where you become your best self. It is where you stay exactly as you are. Comfort zones are like warm, cozy rooms where everything feels safe and predictable. Inside these rooms, you know exactly what to expect. Your abilities match the demands placed on you. Nothing surprises you or makes you nervous. While this feels pleasant, it also means nothing new happens. Your skills stay the same. Your confidence remains at the same level. Your world stays the same size it has always been. Real growth happens when you step outside that comfortable room into places that feel uncertain and demanding. When you take on tasks that stretch your abilities, when you face situations that make your heart beat faster, when you try things you are not sure you can handle, this is where transformation begins. Like a muscle that grows stronger only when it works against resistance, your character and capabilities develop only when they face challenges. Think of a tiny seed buried in dark soil. The seed could remain safely underground where nothing threatens it, but if it stays in that safe place, it will never become what it was meant to be. To grow into a strong plant, the seed must push against the weight of the earth above it. This struggle is not punishment. It is the very process that makes the plant strong enough to reach toward sunlight and weather future storms. Your personal growth works the same way. When you avoid difficulty and stick only to what feels easy, you may feel comfortable, but you remain small. When you choose to face challenges that push against your current limits, you discover abilities you never knew you had. Each struggle makes you more capable of handling the next one. I once knew a woman who had worked the same job for 15 years. She knew every task by heart and could complete her daily work without much thought or effort. While her coworkers stressed over new projects and changing requirements, she stayed in her familiar role where everything felt manageable and safe. For a long time, she felt proud of how smoothly her work life ran. But slowly, something began to bother her. She watched younger people join the company and quickly take on bigger responsibilities. She saw coworkers learn new skills and advance to more interesting positions. She realized that while she had been staying comfortable, the world around her had been changing. Her skills, which had once seemed sufficient, now felt outdated compared to what others could do. When her boss offered her the chance to lead a complex new project, her first instinct was to decline. The project involved working with people she did not know, learning methods she had never used, and taking responsibility for outcomes she could not guarantee. Everything about it felt overwhelming and frightening, but something deeper than fear spoke to her, a voice that had been quiet for too long. She accepted the challenge, even though her hands shook when she signed the papers. The first weeks were harder than anything she had experienced in years. She stayed late trying to understand new processes. She made mistakes that embarrassed her. She had difficult conversations with team members who questioned her decisions. Many nights she went home feeling exhausted and uncertain. She wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. The comfortable predictability of her old role seemed like paradise compared to the daily stress of her new responsibilities. But something remarkable began to happen. As weeks turned into months, the overwhelming tasks started to feel manageable. Problems that had once seemed impossible to solve became puzzles she could figure out. Skills that had felt foreign became tools she could use confidently. The woman who had accepted the project and the woman working on it 6 months later seemed like different people. By the time the project ended successfully, she had developed abilities she never thought possible. She could lead teams, solve complex problems, and handle pressure with grace. More importantly, she had discovered a strength and confidence that came from proving to herself that she could handle whatever came her way. The discomfort she had initially feared turned out to be the very thing that transformed her from someone who simply did her job into someone who could take on any challenge with confidence. That difficult project became the foundation for even greater opportunities that followed. If you want to grow into the person you are capable of becoming, you must be willing to feel uncomfortable regularly. Seek out challenges that stretch your abilities. Take on projects that make you nervous. Say yes to opportunities that require you to learn and adapt. This is not punishment for wanting more from life. It is the price of becoming everything you have the potential to be. 9. Small steps create big change. Many people believe that real transformation happens in dramatic moments, sudden breakthroughs that change everything overnight. They imagine themselves making bold decisions that instantly reshape their entire lives. When they want to improve something about themselves, they plan massive changes that will fix everything at once. But this approach often leads to disappointment and failure, leaving them feeling like transformation is impossible for them. The truth about lasting change is both simpler and more powerful than these grand gestures. Real transformation happens through small, steady actions repeated day after day. It comes from making tiny improvements that seem almost insignificant by themselves, but add up to remarkable results over time. This patient approach may not feel as exciting as dramatic overhauls, but it creates changes that actually stick. Think about how water shapes the hardest stone. A rushing river does not carve a deep canyon in a single day by hitting the rocks with tremendous force. Instead, the water flows steadily over the same path, year after year, wearing away tiny bits of stone with each pass. What seems like gentle, almost powerless movement gradually creates something magnificent and permanent. Your personal changes work the same way. Each small action you take is like a drop of water touching stone. One drop does nothing visible. 100 drops seem to change nothing. But thousands of drops, applied consistently over time, can transform solid rock into beautiful sculptures or carved canyons that inspire wonder for centuries. The beauty of small steps lies in their sustainability. When you try to change everything at once, you exhaust your willpower and overwhelm your daily routines. Your mind rebels against too much change happening too quickly. But when you focus on one tiny improvement at a time, your life can absorb the change without shock or resistance. I once knew a man who felt deeply unhappy with his health and energy levels. Years of poor eating and lack of movement had left him feeling tired, weak, and discouraged about his body. He would look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back at him. Every few months he would declare that everything had to change immediately. He would throw out all the food in his house and buy expensive, healthy meals he did not know how to prepare. He would join a gym and try to exercise for 2 hours every day. He would set ambitious goals to wake up early, drink more water, take vitamins, and completely reshape his daily routine all at once. For the first few days, he felt excited and motivated by these dramatic changes. He would tell his friends about his new lifestyle and feel proud of his commitment. But within 2 weeks, the overwhelming nature of so many changes would crash down on him. He would miss a few workouts, eat some foods that were not on his strict plan, or sleep through his early alarm. These small failures would make him feel like the entire effort was pointless, so he would abandon all the changes and return to his old habits. This cycle repeated itself several times over 2 years, each failure making him feel more hopeless about ever improving his situation. He began to believe he simply lacked the willpower to change, that some people were meant to be healthy and others were not. Finally, a wise friend suggested a different approach. Instead of trying to transform everything at once, what if he changed just one tiny thing? The friend suggested he start with a 10-minute walk each day, nothing more, nothing less. At first, this seemed almost laughably small. How could 10 minutes of walking make any difference when he needed to lose weight, build strength, improve his eating, and overhaul his entire lifestyle? But he was tired of failure, so he decided to try this simple approach. The first week was easy. 10 minutes felt so manageable that he never missed a day. The second week was equally simple. By the third week, something interesting happened. He began to enjoy these short walks. They gave him time to think and breathe without pressure or judgment. After a month of consistent walking, he felt ready to add something else small, replacing one unhealthy snack each day with a piece of fruit. This change also felt easy to maintain because it was just one small adjustment to his existing routine. As months passed, more small changes followed. He began drinking an extra glass of water each day. He started going to bed 15 minutes earlier. He learned to prepare one simple, healthy meal and ate it twice a week. Each change was tiny, but together they began to create something remarkable. Within a year, his life looked completely different. He had lost weight without ever feeling deprived. He had energy he had not felt in years. His mood was more positive, and his confidence had grown. Most importantly, these changes felt natural and permanent because they had grown gradually into comfortable habits. The transformation that had seemed impossible through dramatic efforts became inevitable through patient, consistent small steps. Each tiny action had been easy to maintain, but together they created the major life change he had always wanted. This is the hidden power of small steps. They bypass the resistance that stops big changes while building momentum that makes continued progress feel natural. You do not need to become a different person overnight. You just need to become slightly better today than you were yesterday, then repeat that process tomorrow. Over time, these small improvements compound like money, earning interest, creating results that seem magical but are actually the predictable outcome of consistent effort applied patiently over time. 10. Passion is not found, it's cultivated. Many people spend years searching for their passion like treasure hunters looking for buried gold. They believe that somewhere out there exists the perfect calling that will instantly ignite their soul and make work feel like play. They wait for that magical moment when they will stumble upon their true purpose and suddenly know exactly what they are meant to do with their lives. But this searching often leads to frustration and endless wandering because they are looking for something that does not exist in the way they imagine. The truth about passion is both simpler and more empowering than this treasure hunt approach. Passion is not a hidden object waiting to be discovered. It is something you create through your own actions and choices. Like a gardener who plants seeds and tends them until they grow into beautiful flowers, you can cultivate passion by giving your time, attention, and effort to activities that spark even the smallest interest. Most people have the relationship between passion and effort backwards. They think passion must come first, providing the energy and motivation needed to work hard at something. But in reality, effort usually comes first, and passion grows from the satisfaction of getting better at something meaningful. When you invest yourself in learning and improving, you begin to care more deeply about the activity. As your skills develop, your enjoyment increases. As your enjoyment increases, your passion strengthens. Think of how a fire begins. No one ever started a campfire by waiting for a massive flame to appear out of nowhere. Instead, they start with the smallest spark, perhaps from striking flint against steel or focusing sunlight through a lens. This tiny spark lands on dry tinder, where it must be carefully protected and fed with small pieces of fuel. Gradually, as more material catches fire, the flame grows larger and stronger until it becomes a warm, bright fire that can light up the darkness and provide heat for hours. Your passion develops through the same process. It starts with a small spark of curiosity or mild interest in something. Maybe you notice that you enjoy working with your hands, or that you like helping people solve problems, or that you feel satisfied when you organize things well. These tiny sparks mean nothing by themselves, but they can become the beginning of something much larger if you choose to nurture them. I once knew a man who felt lost about his direction in life. He had tried several jobs but never felt excited about any of them. Friends and family kept asking him what his passion was, but he honestly did not know. He felt broken, as if everyone else had been given a clear sense of purpose while he had been left out. One weekend, he visited a friend who was building furniture in his garage workshop. The friend needed help moving some heavy pieces, and during the work, the man picked up a piece of wood that had been carefully shaped and sanded smooth. Something about the feel of the wood in his hands and the smell of sawdust in the air caught his attention in a way he had not expected. His friend offered to teach him some basic techniques, more out of friendliness than any expectation that this would lead anywhere important. They spent a few hours that day learning to use simple tools and understanding how different types of wood behaved. The work was awkward and slow. His first attempts at cutting straight lines were crooked, and his joints did not fit together properly. Most people might have stopped there, discouraged by their clumsy first efforts, but something about the process intrigued him enough to return the next weekend, then the next. Each time, he learned a little more and made fewer mistakes. His cuts became straighter, his measurements more accurate, his understanding of the materials deeper. What started as mild curiosity began to grow into genuine interest as he saw his skills improve. He found himself thinking about woodworking projects during the week and looking forward to his time in the workshop. He began reading about different techniques and studying the work of skilled craftsmen. The more he learned, the more fascinated he became. Within 6 months, woodworking had transformed from a weekend activity into something he thought about constantly. He started waking up early to spend time in his own small workshop before work. He began taking on small projects for friends and neighbors. Every free moment seemed to flow naturally toward learning more about his craft. 2 years later, this same man had turned his growing passion into a business. He was creating beautiful furniture that people treasured and paid well for. When people asked him how he had discovered his passion for woodworking, he would smile and explain that he had not discovered it at all. He had grown it through consistent effort and attention. The key insight from his story is that passion often follows mastery rather than leading to it. As you become better at something, you naturally begin to care more about it. The satisfaction of improvement creates emotional investment. The emotional investment fuels more effort. More effort leads to greater skill, which brings deeper satisfaction, creating an upward spiral that transforms mild interest into burning passion. This means you do not need to wait for passion to strike like lightning before you can begin pursuing something meaningful. Instead, you can start with anything that creates even small sparks of interest and commit to developing your abilities in that area. Give it enough time and effort to move past the awkward beginner stage. Allow yourself to experience the satisfaction that comes from getting better at something worthwhile. The more you invest in learning and improving, the more ownership you feel over that area of knowledge or skill. It becomes yours in a way that creates natural passion and pride. You do not need to find the perfect calling. You can make any worthy pursuit into something that ignites your passion through the simple act of committing yourself to growth and excellence within it.